All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Orange County Legislature's regular session dated Thursday, September 6th. At this point, I would ask that you all join me in standing for a moment of silence and a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon. Before we call the roll, I would ask that you please silence all of your cell phones and any electronic devices you may have. And I would ask that the clerk please call the roll.
Fagion?
Here.
Paduk?
Here.
Amo? Anagnestakis?
Present.
Benton? Brescia? Cheney?
Here.
Ellers? Hines?
Here.
Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich?
Here.
Sassy? Sierra? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tortel? Tui? Benelli?
Present.
Present. Or absent.
Okay, before we get started with our regular agenda, we do have some recognition awards. We do have a proclamation recognizing the week of July 16th to the 22nd as pre-trial probation and parole supervision week. So I would ask to come to the front of the room, Timothy Davidian, who is the probation director, and representing the county executive, Mary Pat Smith. And I believe we're also going to be celebrating some anniversaries for 7 of the employees in this department.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Orange County Executive Steve Newhouse, I am happy to read this proclamation declaring pretrial probation and parole supervision week in Orange County. Whereas probation and parole officers and community corrections professionals are an essential part of the justice system and public safety, upholding the law with bravery while recognizing the right of the public to be kept safe from criminal activity. And whereas the mission to protect the public often has probation officers and support staff facing dangerous circumstances. And whereas the Orange County Probation Department supervises over 2,000 offenders, prepares over 1,500 investigations for the courts, conducts in excess of 7,000 home contacts and 25,000 offender contacts per year. And whereas the Orange County Probation Department selflessly and with an unwavering commitment performs their duties and responsibilities. And whereas the Orange County Probation Department is an integral part of the community, meeting the needs of the citizens of the county beyond those of public safety. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Stephen M. Newhouse, Orange County Executive, and Catherine E. Benelli, Chairwoman of the Legislature, do hereby proclaim July 16th through July 22nd, 2023 as pretrial probation and parole supervision week in Orange County, and we urge all Orange County residents to take the time to thank the staff of the probation department for their efforts and sacrifices they make every day. Honored during this month of July 2023, signed Stephen M. Newhouse, County Executive, and Catherine E. Benelli, Chairwoman of the Orange County Legislature. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Pat. It gives us great pleasure as your full legislator here in Orange County to recognize such dedicated individuals. And I understand, Mr. Davidian, that you have some 25 and 30-year employees. So we want to recognize them as well, and I thank you all for being here. Because this is a department that we don't hear from a lot, but let me tell you, they do a lion's share of the work, and they're the unsung heroes out there. So thank you, and thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you, Mary Pat. I always want to say thank you to the legislature and to the county executive's office, because we are very blessed to enjoy your support for staffing and for equipment. As you're aware, we're the only probation department in the state of New York that has body cameras. We're one of the only departments that carry tasers, the most recent model, and we're one of about half the counties that carry firearms currently. So I thank you again for your support on our staffing and our equipment needs. We did have 3 30-year recipients this year and 4 25s. Unfortunately, only one of our 30-year recipients and 3 of our 25s could make it. So I'd like to bring up Andrea Hine. Andrea is one of our support staff people in our Goshen office. She handles all our family services issues. So we'll give her that. Congratulations. You're welcome.
This was your first.
Next, I'm going to bring up Senior Probation Officer Deborah Peters. Deborah's right now on our, what we call our response team. She does all our high-risk home visits when we know there's warrants or firearms potentially involved, and she also helps manage half of our warrant caseload. And Deborah has been here 25 years. Congrats. You're welcome. Next up, I'm going to bring up Senior Probation Officer Dawn Romer. Dawn is one of the only people in the department who, except for a very brief period of time, got to spend her time in Goshen. She has spent her entire career in our Newburgh office and actually in the same office in the Newburgh office. And Dawn's been with us 25 years.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for your service.
And lastly, probation not only houses the probation department, but we also house the county's Crime Victims Assistance Program, which we've expanded to also include a part-time position at the Child Advocacy Center to help with those children victims of sex abuse nature. And Jane Rosenhagen was actually a full-time crime victim counselor for many years, retired and came back as a part-time counselor in that position. And Jane's been with us for 25 years as well. You're welcome.
Thank you all very much, and congratulations again to a great department. It was very special to have Mary Pat up there for the county executive. That is the department she started in with county government, so she got to present to some of her friends and her colleagues that she worked with many years ago. On to our agenda. Majority Leader Fagione.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The legislature would like to recognize the following for the month of July. As we all know, the birth of the nation, July 4th, a great Independence Day was had all around Orange County. This month is also National Recreation and Parks Month. It's also National Ice Cream Month, and July 16th is National Ice Cream Day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you to Cornell Cooperative and our tourism department, our tourism bureau out there. I don't know if they're still there, but I think a lot of people got the opportunity to take advantage of the goodies here as we celebrate National Ice Cream Day. Public participation. I don't know if we had anybody sign up. Okay, so then we'll move on, and Majority Leader Fagione once again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the minutes of March 2nd and March 28th, 2023.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? At this time, I would ask Legislator Cheney to withdraw agenda item number 6. I just did it for you. It's okay.
So move.
I second that.
If there's no objections, item number 6 will be removed. I also would ask that Legislator Benton withdraw item number 32.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm told I should read this, though.
Please do.
Thank you. I request that item number 32 on the agenda, an act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create aging services specialist, Spanish English speaking, at the Orange County Office for the Aging pursuant to Section 2.02 of the Orange County Charter be withdrawn.
I believe Legislator Brescia, would you mind withdrawing, seconding that? All right, thank you. Okay, so we move on to number 1. This will be a voice vote.
Legislator Benton, resolution of the Orange County Legislature establishing and reporting the standard workday for elected officials to the New York State Local Employees Retirement System.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried, and we move on to number 2.
Legislators Amo and Paduk, with all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature opposing the paroled release of a convicted murderer, Juan Panado.
Second.
Questions or comments? I would like to recognize Assemblyman Brian Marr is here. Brian, I believe you wanted to say a few words.
Turn it on.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Madam Chairwoman. I am joined here by members of Danny Meyer's family. We have Danny's mother, Jill. We have Sal Rappo, Danny's aunt, Jane, and Uncle Bob. And we have a childhood friend who was actually with Danny as an 11-year-old back in 1996, the day before he passed away. Shannon, formerly Malone, now Napoli, and her son, Mikey. And together 2 years ago, we were successful, thanks to the help of this body and thousands of others throughout the state of New York and throughout the country, in writing letters directly to the New York State Parole Board to keep Danny's murderer in prison. And anyone we talk to, we say the same thing. No one's against rehabilitation, but there are certain crimes that go above and beyond normal thought process of how human beings are capable of doing certain things. Taking into account recidivism rates for crimes such as this and the way that the individual was preyed on, we don't have any thoughts in our mind that we are doing something that is 100% the right thing to do. At the end of the day, in New York State, because this individual is up for parole after serving 25 years of a life sentence, this now happens every 2 years. So we hope that at the state level, we're going to be making some changes to allow that to be a longer period of time. But till then, this is something that will continue to happen. And with your support, hopefully Danny and his memory will have continued justice, and his family can have continued peace for as long as humanly possible. And at the end of the day, we just want to let you all know how much we appreciate what you're doing. And any way you could continue to push this out to your networks, to your communities, it's something that impacts all of us. So please sign the online petition. Encourage those that you represent to do so also, but also try to write letters individually to the parole board, as we all do. I know how much Danny's family and his mother appreciates it, and we are going to continue this fight for as long as we have to. So thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Assemblyman. And thank you to the family and friends. I appreciate that. I believe Legislator O'Donnell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So I did have a brief moment before the meeting to speak to Danny's family. As most of you know here, my best friend growing up, Billy McDonough, born 3 days apart, 12 years of school together, ended up marrying my sister, was killed in the line of duty. We were both New York State troopers. He was killed December 14th, 1975 in Sugarloaf. Fortunately for my family, and I do mean fortunately, the responding troopers killed Christy DeGiorgis, the person that killed Billy McDonough. So while I do have experience in feeling your loss, I don't have the experience and the horror of your family having to go through this every 2 years, all right? I will say that the trooper that got killed the year before Billy McDonough, Trooper Emerson Dillon, his killer went to the parole board 11 times, all right? So on the 11th time, he got released. He's living in Suffolk County now, right? So that family of Trooper Dillon has to live with that for the rest of their lives, that the killer of their loved one is out. I can't imagine what your family will go through if this killer is released. So I urge everyone to not only sign the online petition, but to write an individual letter and to be persistent. We may have to do this 12, 13, 14 times, but I will be writing an individual letter explaining who I am, my career with the state police, and how important it is to keep killers off the street, not only for the safety of all our citizens, but for the peace of mind of the family of Danny Meyer. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator O'Donnell. Is there anyone else that would like, Legislator Benton?
Thank you. Yes, I've been working in the town of Montgomery most of the last 25 to 30 years, and I remember specifically the day that this happened. And I think it should be said in a different way, Brian. Danny didn't simply pass away. He was savagely killed and taken away from his family. And that's the way I think it should be said. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Benton. Is there anyone else that would like to say something? Legislator Brescia.
I'd like to thank Assemblyman Marr for bringing this to the fore today and the Danny Meyer family for coming today. I remember the day well when this happened. It was my birthday back in '96. I was still mayor back then, and we sent support to the community. But what happened that day devastated and saddened our whole community. And they came together behind his family. And a couple of years ago, there was a rally in support of the Meyer family and keeping this individual behind bars where he belongs. And it was such an outpouring of support in the Maybrook community and the whole town of Montgomery. Brian, you were there as supervisor, I believe, at the time. And we have to just get the message out and just still pray for the family and try to keep this individual where he belongs. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Brescia. Is there anyone else? And I would ask for the roll to be called.
Fagione?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli? 18 ayes.
Thank you. And we move on to number 3.
Legislators Fagione and Cheney with all Republicans and Legislator Ramos as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the chairwoman of the Orange County Legislature to enter into an agreement with Sanborn Map Company, Inc., Applied Geographics, for consulting services for development of a legislative redistricting plan for the County of Orange.
Second.
Questions or comments? Legislator Ramos.
I want to actually thank you, Chairwoman. We've been having several conversations throughout this year since we voted to move forward with the RFP process, and I had the time to review the proposals from the different consulting agencies, and I'm very pleased that this is the direction we're moving with. I took time to look into the folks that are part of this team with AppGeo for redistricting. Jeffrey Weiss, who's their legal counsel, is a nationally respected and recognized expert in redistricting. And so I really have, full faith and trust that we are moving in the right direction. So I definitely will be voting in support of moving forward with AppGeo. And I also look forward to just seeing us continue the process and ensuring that our redistricting process is fair, equitable, and data-driven. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Fagione?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli? 18 ayes.
Thank you. Number 4, please.
Legislators Fagion and Hines with legislator Ramos as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the Orange County Executive on behalf of the Orange County Clerk's Office to enter into an agreement with New York State Thruway Authority to sell Easy Pass tags.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, let's call the roll.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, we move on to number 5, which will be a voice vote.
Legislators Cheney and Fagion with legislator Lujan as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Planning to apply for, accept, and appropriate funds from the Federal Transit Administration to be used to purchase transit vehicles pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Number 6 was withdrawn, so we move on to number 7.
Legislators Paduk and Cheney with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Planning to apply for and accept a Federal Transit Administration grant that is apportioned to Orange County via the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, this too is a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. And we move on to number 8.
Legislators Paduk and Amo with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Planning to apply for and accept a Federal Transit Administration grant that is apportioned to Orange County via the American Rescue Plan Act pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, this too is a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, and we move on to number 9.
Legislators Sassy and Sutherland with all Republicans and legislator Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Sheriff's Office to accept and appropriate funds from a New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the State Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Program pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions, comments? This too is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 10.
Legislators Hines, Ellers, Sutherland, Sassy, Ramos, with all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Emergency Services, Fire Services, to accept and appropriate funds from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services under the fiscal year 2022-2023 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant Program pursuant to Section 99-H of a general municipal law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
This too is a voice vote. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 11.
Legislators Fagion and Cheney with legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2023 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Finance to appoint special district attorneys pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote, so Jean, please.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, we move on to number 12, please, which will also be roll call.
Legislators Brescia and Cheney with legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the private sale and conveyance of certain county-owned lands acquired by reason of a failure to redeem said lands from a tax sale to Orange County pursuant to Section 10184 of the Real Property Tax Law and Orange County Amended Local Law Number 2 of 2010.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this? Okay, please call the roll.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Luhan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli, 18 ayes.
Okay, number 13, please.
Legislators Fagion and Cheney with Legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution approving the release of the county's interest in and to a certain deed sale parcel to the previous owner of record pursuant to Section 5, Paragraph B1 of Local Law Number 2 of 2010.
Second.
Questions or comments on this? This is a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, and we move on to number 14, please.
Legislators Fagion and Cheney with Legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the Department of Finance to reduce the budget of any unspent federal, state, local, and interfund authorizations on completed capital projects.
Second.
Questions or comments? This too is a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried, and we move to number 15.
Legislators Cheney and Hines with Legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Finance and Budget Director to adjust capital project budgets and unissued bonds.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 16, which will also be a voice vote.
Legislators Cheney and Fagion with Legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution authorizing the Department of Finance to transfer any unspent proceeds from completed capital projects.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 17, this will be a roll call vote, and since it is bonding, we will need a 2/3 vote.
Legislators Hines and Cheney with Legislator Benton as co-sponsor. Resolution dated July 6, 2023. Resolution of the County of Orange, New York pursuant to Section 41.00 of the Local Finance Law, repealing in part various partially unissued bond authorizations of certain bond resolutions of said county, which authorize the issuance of bonds to finance various improvements in and for the county.
Second.
Questions or comments before I call the roll? Okay, Jean.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Luhan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli, 18 ayes.
Number 18, please.
Legislators Tortel and Menuda. Resolution authorizing the Orange County Department of Public Works to create a new organization within the Small Watershed Protection Fund as per the intermunicipal agreement for the Glenmere Lake Dam.
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. And we move to number 19.
Legislators Paduk, Tortel, Brescia, and Cheney with all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county to sell county-owned property in the town of Montgomery.
Second.
Questions or comments on this? This will be a roll call vote. Legislator Menuda.
Thank you. This property, I believe it is, I'll be abstaining from this vote.
Okay. Anything else? Minority leader.
Thank you, Madam
It's
Chair.
okay.
In talking with some of the people on the boards, Graham Ski had a 20-year plan that I don't think anybody's ever reviewed. This parcel was appraised at over $3 million at one time. I'm not going to be supporting this today, and I think we should be doing a better job. I know Legislator Cheney has talked with some other people in that same regard. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be looking into it, but as of right now, I'm not going to be supporting this.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, could you please call the roll? This will necessitate a 2/3 vote.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
No.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Luhan, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 16 ayes, 1 abstention, 1 no, and 3 absent.
Okay, we move on to number 20.
Legislators Paduk, Tortel, Brescia, and Fagion, with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Bond resolution dated July 6, 2023. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the construction of ADA improvements at various county locations, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $50,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 50,000 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Questions or comments? Since it is a bond resolution, it will necessitate a 2/3 vote.
Fagion, I'm sorry,
If there's no comments, please feel free to call the roll.
sorry. Fagion,
Yes.
Paduk,
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, we move to number 21, which is also a bond resolution requiring 2/3 vote.
Legislators Tortel, Paduk, Fagion, Cheney, with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Bond resolution dated July 6, 2023. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the removal of asbestos and lead at various county locations, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $50,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 50,000 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second.
Questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Fagion,
Yes.
Paduk,
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, we move to number 22.
Legislators Menuda, Tortel, Fagion, and Cheney, with legislator Lujan as co-sponsor. Bond resolution dated July 6, 2023. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the replacement and installation of building equipment at various county locations, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $150,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 150,000 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second.
Questions or comments? This is a 2/3 vote since it's a bond resolution and it's roll call. So Jean?
Fagion,
Yes.
Paduk,
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, and Benelli. 18 ayes.
And we move to number 23, and here again, it is a bond resolution requiring 2/3 vote.
Legislators Menuda, Tortel, Brescia, and Hines, with legislator Lujan as co-sponsor. Bond resolution dated July 6, 2023. Bond resolution of the County of Orange, New York, authorizing the construction of building capital improvements at various county locations, stating the estimated total cost thereof is $350,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 350,000 bonds of the county to finance said appropriation.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, we move on to number 24.
Legislators Cheney, Riskevich, and O'Donnell, amending bond resolution dated July 6, 2023, amending the bond resolution adopted February 2nd, 2023, in relation to the construction of a pole barn at the Stony Ford Golf Club at an estimated cost of $232,337.
Questions or
Second.
comments? Oh, thank you. Questions or comments? And I would ask the roll to be called. We also need a 2/3 vote on this.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, and Benelli. 17 ayes and 1 no.
Okay, we move to number 25, which will be a voice vote.
Legislators Totel and Tui with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2023 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Social Services for American Rescue Plan funds pursuant to Section 99-H of the General Municipal Law and Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, and we move on to numbers 26, which will also be a voice vote.
Legislators Tortel and Tui with all Republicans and legislator Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution making a supplemental appropriation to the 2023 Orange County budget for the Orange County Department of Social Services to receive and expend a donation from the Newburgh Elks Lodge pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, and we move to number 27.
Legislators Sutherland and Tortel with all Republicans and legislator Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Mental Health to accept and appropriate Welcome Orange Geriatric Initiative funds from the New York State Office of Mental Health pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 28.
Legislators Tortel and Sutherland with legislators Ramos and Lujan as co-sponsors. Resolution authorizing the county executive in conjunction with the Orange County Department of Health to appropriate fifth-year budget period funds from the New York State Department of Health for the Tuberculosis Prevention and Control Program pursuant to Section 4.09 of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, and we move to number 29.
Legislators Fagione, Lujan, and Cheney with all Republicans as co-sponsors. Resolution of the Orange County Legislature authorizing the inclusion of certain real property in the Orange County Agricultural District Number 1 pursuant to New York State Agriculture and Markets Law, Section 303A and 303B.
Second.
Questions, comments? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Fagione,
Yes.
Duke,
Yes.
Anagnestakis, Benton, Brescia, Cheney, Ellers, Hines, Lujan, Menuda, O'Donnell, Ramos, Riskevich, Sassy, Stiganga, Sutherland, Tui, Benelli. 18 ayes.
Okay, number 30.
Legislators Ramos and Riskevich. Resolution providing for a public hearing upon the tentative budget for Orange County Community College for the fiscal year beginning September 1st, 2023, pursuant to Section 6304 of the Education Law. The public hearing would be held on August 3rd, 2023 at 3:15 here in the Legislative Chamber.
Second.
Questions or comments? This is a voice vote, so all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Number 31.
Legislators Fagione and Benton with all Republicans as co-sponsors. An act authorizing and directing the implementation of the recommendations of Sweet Advice LLC in its comprehensive salary study report dated June 7th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, before I entertain any questions or comments on this, I would like to ask Langdon Chapman, our Human Resources Director, to give a brief overview of exactly what this resolution says and what the acts we will be taking today.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Chairwoman Benelli, for this invitation to speak. As I think the members of this legislature know, the management plan was last updated comprehensively in 2004 by a report commonly called the Condra Report. That was over 3 CSEA contracts ago, to put it in perspective of where our unionized workforce is in relation to where the management plan. Various efforts over the years have been taken to try to comprehensively address the Condra Report, and lots of different questions came up at each time, all legitimate, as to why we necessarily shouldn't do it. Therefore, you appropriated at my request funding in this year's Human Resources Department budget to do a comprehensive salary study. We thereafter, pursuant to the procurement policy, hired a consultant firm to undertake that study. The resolution before you implements the recommendations of the consultant capable of being implemented without union negotiation. I'll give you a very brief summary of them here. The recommendations rebase the existing management grades to reflect current market standards. As I think the members of this body know, management have grades assigned between 17 and 29, so this is a rebasing of them. It also rebases the attorney titles in both the district attorney and county attorney's offices, and it modifies a handful of grades, which has always been something of somewhat controversy because there are questions about why should some people get a grade change and other people's not. So it modifies the grades of the following: the deputy commissioners of DSS and mental health, the deputy commissioners of DPW, the director of grants in the planning department, and the director of operations in the medical examiner's office. It also makes equal grades for all for confidential secretary, one in each department that actually has one, because there seems to be a mishmash of those grades now. I've received questions from some of you, and I'll try to break them down just a couple of areas. If you'll just I beg your indulgence for just a minute here, because I think these are the questions that a lot of people seem to be asking. Does this mean, and I'm literally just going to read an FAQ I did, and I want to thank the county attorney for vetting it with me. Does this mean that every existing attorney gets a new base salary plus $1,000 per year they've worked in the county or been admitted to the practice of law? The answer is no. Every attorney would be moved to the entry-level title of their salary grade if they're not already there. Then, within available appropriations, the district attorney and county attorney would have the ability to allocate up to $1,000 per year of county service or bar admission on top of those minimum salary grades or the attorney's current salary if the legislature authorizes the money, which you have not yet done. Which brings me to question number 2. Does the district attorney and county attorney have money for such raises now? The answer is no. In the adopted 2023 budget, some money was put in there, but not enough to do a full rebasing of this, and would only be able to rebase if you ever authorize the money. But in the budget you've already adopted, $254,972 was placed in the county attorney's budget for raises, and $415,788 was placed in the district attorney's budget for raises. Those amounts were placed in the budget that you all adopted. They're in lines 560310 and 586900 of the county attorney's office and district attorney's office budget respectively. They're in excess of the standard management raises, which are allocated each year. Then I've received a lot of questions about what did the state do for indigent legal services under 18B. As you all know, you have the responsibility, and you do each year, of allocating funds for the criminal defense of those unable to pay for a defense themselves. You do that in 2 ways. One, you allocate a contract to legal aid, and on top of that, you have a separate fund through the 18B office, the Office of Assigned Counsel, to pay for indigent defense in the case of conflicts or other purposes. The state this year more than doubled the hourly billable rate to $158 an hour for those 18B attorneys. Therefore, and I asked Damian Brady, our administrator, give me a couple of examples. An attorney who previously billed for 7.2 hours a week on 18B cases would have made about $28,000. Next year, that same attorney on those same cases for those same hours, 7 hours a day, 7 hours a week, excuse me, would have billed $63,000 a year. So that's 1 day's worth of work for an attorney bills out to $63,000 a year. An attorney who billed $105,000 would bill over $239,000 for just under 30 hours a week. In short, the state has made it much more financially rewarding to go into the business of criminal defense than this county, and it's not your fault, has made to go into the business of prosecuting criminals. And I think as Americans, what we value most is an equal opportunity for a prosecution and defense. And the state has set the bar for the defense, and I'm respectfully suggesting you have the opportunity to set the bar for the prosecution. Last question I frequently get are the management salaries done at the same time at the union contracts? The answer is no. Union contracts have been negotiated and settled several times since the last management plan was updated. As part of the human resources budget, as I indicated, we went through and did a salary study. That the county also gathered data for union negotiations, has settled 3 contracts already, and is negotiating with the largest union now using some of the information provided in this study. Had the management study been linked to union contracts, A management study would have been independently undertaken 3 separate times since it was adopted in 2004, because we've gone through 3 union contracts for our largest union since then. So I hope I've prospectively answered some of the questions that some of you have asked me, particularly over the last 24, 48 hours, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Legislator O'Donnell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So before I get into my comments specifically on agenda number 31, I do have a question for our legal counsel based on the comments of Commissioner Chapman. He mentioned a couple of positions that are not part of this resolution. I believe he mentioned the deputy commissioner and a couple other positions that are not specifically mentioned in this resolution. So how do we address that?
Believe that the second to last resolved notes that the Commissioner of Human Resources by and through such other county officers or employees as are necessary is authorized and directed to implement those provisions and salary recommendations of the Sweet Advice LLC report dated June 7th, 2023. So that essentially does address that portion of what Mr. Chapman.
So that's a blanket agreement that the Commissioner of Human Resources can do, even if there were some that he left out today?
It's not so much a blanket as it is that it addresses
It's
the
in there.
well, the resolution adopts the recommendations, and by the adoption, it requires an implementation. And so with that being a recommendation in the report, the implementation process is noted within that resolved paragraph.
All right, so that's one of my problems is, well, I love Langdon, but my father would refer to him, no offense, but as a storyteller. I want to speak to Sweet Advice, but let me just go through this. So the first whereas is a true statement. The second whereas is a true statement. The third whereas is a true statement. The fourth whereas, I'll take the liberty of having a different opinion on the word significantly affecting the comparison of union and non-union employees, but that's just my personal opinion. Fourth whereas is a true statement. The fifth whereas, however, right, whereas the effect of Tier 5 and 6, according to the Commissioner of Human Resources, is to make public sector jobs markedly less beneficial. I would venture to say that most everyone here would believe that, not just according to the Commissioner of Human Resources. Right? Everyone hired under Tier 6. So if you're not aware, Tier 6 has done tremendous damage to the state of New York. Right? It was enacted in 2012, and some of the things outlined here, it significantly reduced pension benefits, although there's wrong information on the back that I'll get to in a minute. According to the Commissioner of Human Resources, he believes that this was particularly harmful for managers with licenses and substantial professional experience. I'll take the opposite. I think it is particularly problematic for the lower end workers who struggle to buy food every day for their families. Those are the ones that got hurt the most, not the people with licenses who could leave public service as they normally do, and I'll get to that with the DA's office, and go make more money. The people that don't have these licenses basically sometimes are stuck in these positions and have to wait till now, age 63. Mandatory contributions between 3 and 6%, graduated, correct. Next, whereas the net effect of these changes is to create similarities between the public and private sector for those licensed professionals and persons holding significant educational qualifications, which did not exist at the time of the adoption of the Condrey report. I don't know what qualifications they're exactly talking about, but one of their arguments in the next few paragraphs is that the opposite is happening, that because of what's going on today, they need these changes to bring everybody up to speed. So if the Condrey report back in '04, there were similarities between the public and private. One of the reasons this is here before us today, as outlined by Commissioner Chapman, is the 18B, where the state made us put up double the amount of money we normally put up. And I talked about this last year when we were forced to adopt it, went from, I think, 4.5 million to now 9 million, where he's correct on the 18B lawyers getting paid that. But back in '04, that didn't exist. The 18B lawyers were making less than our lawyers, all right? Next, whereas legislature has previously advised comprehensive review by an outside advisor should be conducted to determine whether the salary ranges and other benefits for employees covered by the Condrey report should be undertaken. To me, that whereas doesn't even read correctly, okay? I don't think it's important to our decision-making today, but to me, it doesn't even read correctly. Next, whereas the legislature appropriated funding for such a study in the 2023 county budget, and I believe we appropriated $125,000. I could be wrong, but I don't believe that's what we paid Sweet Advice, which gets me to the next whereas. Whereas Sweet Advice LLC was engaged by the county for such purpose. Now, it appears that they did something else, contract-wise, not just the Condrey report, which is fine, but purpose is singular. Next page. Whereas such plans recommended modifications. So these are recommendations. We're the final say. Next, whereas a plurality of management employees in county government are attorneys in the office of the district attorney and the county law department, where the state of New York has this year implemented increases that Commissioner Chapman spoke about. Okay, so the example he uses is indigent criminal defense attorneys. No offense to the county law department, but that has nothing to do with criminal law defense. So why they were grouped together is just to try to make their point or just to take care of all the lawyers we have. Next is, whereas such recommendations set forth in the Sweet Advice report will enhance attraction and retention of diverse employees. I did not read anything, right? That is certainly one of our top goals here as public employees, but I did not read anything, and I'd like to see it pointed out to me, how anything that Sweet Advice did for us helps us with diversity. I didn't see it. Then we get to the resolves. Number one, new attorney hires in the DA's office, county law department. They talk about their salaries. You know, to me, sitting on personnel and compensation, she did not appear before us. The woman who came down from Albany. She appeared before, as far as I know, 4 legislators in that committee. Didn't come before P&C, so you could question, why do we have a P&C? We haven't done a study since '04. It's one of the critical things we're doing for our managers, and yet we didn't have this woman or Sweet Advice come before P&C or come before the entire legislature so we could all ask questions face to face from not the storyteller, but the author. Rebasing number 2 talks about incumbent attorneys with italic I, meaning 3, right? If you look on the last page, there is no I. I. It's missing. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to absorb all of this. Salary caps. They mention them, 120% of the county exec, right? But they don't put any numbers on those. We don't see what the minimum, new minimum and the new maximum for each grade is. That would have been a tremendous help to us today. The last page, number 3. If you look at the italics at the end, Roman numeral VII, meaning number 7. You look below, there's no VII. All right? During number 1 of the italics, I, it mentions specifically that Tier 6, the current state plan, a person retiring at age 55 with 30 years of service would receive a pension equaling 26.4% of their final average salary. That is incorrect. You go online, you can see, read it yourselves. I'm pretty sure it's 47.5. You can correct me, but it definitely is not 26.4%. It's just incorrect. And now to italic II, the 18B attorneys. So would bill more than $250,000? That's a true statement. There's 70 of them under contract now within the county. Okay? Two of those 70, because I also spoke to Damien, right? And 2 of those 70 would have made over $250,000 last year by prorating the doubling the hourly rate from last year to this year. Those new rates didn't go into effect till April, so we really won't know till next April exactly what kind of impact or how much money the 17B lawyers will make. But 2 of the 70 were over 250 grand with no pension, no sick leave, no retirement. I'll stop there for now. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Legislator Ellers.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just have a quick comment to make here. I don't believe at this time that we should be handing out potentially what could be $2.5 million of taxpayer money to our top 1% of earners in the county. These are the people who earn between $100,000 and $250,000 salary. I feel we owe it to our union employees to negotiate and settle all union contracts before we consider raises for the top 1%. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Legislator Ellers. Anyone else? Any other comments? Legislator Lujan.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I wanted to hear out, this conversation because, I wanted to see if we're going to get anything different from what we've had from PNC. And the reality is, I still feel the exact same way. This is about retention. This is about making sure that individuals who really have been paying and working in our county get what they deserve, and that they're able to be able to pay for their families. These are individuals who come in with immense debt from student debt, individuals who could be making so much more in the private sector, individuals who are right now being courted to work in other counties, and they choose to work here in Orange County because this is their homes. I want them to be here. I want them to want to work here. I want them to be able to afford to live here. I want them to be able, I want us to continue to have professional individuals who are not going to lose talented individuals in our county. I absolutely want that. I want to applaud the commissioner for taking the time and the diligence to put this report and the work that we have entrusted in him to do with this agency. I'm fully in support of it. I'm sure that there is definitely ways that we could, have more transparency. That's fine. But the reality is, we've entrusted him with this. I believe it's the right move. Everything has gone up in our country, and everyone is feeling, even the 1% that we were saying that of earners, who really are also individuals who pay immense money in student debts. I mean, we're saying 250,000. 250,000 is nothing when you pay $200,000 in student debt. It's just like, we're not comparing the same things. So I just think that it's very irresponsible for us to be talking about $250,000 when we have individuals who had that level of debt as well. So I'm going to be supporting this. Again, I want to thank you, Commissioner, for doing this. And, it's the right thing for us to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Lujan. Legislator Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to also say that I will be supporting this. The reality is that the folks in the DA's office are drastically underpaid. I mean, just one county over in Dutchess County, they're starting at $22,000 more. And if we want to not just recruit talent here, but keep talent here, because it's going to just keep costing us more money to have to continue recruiting and hiring over and over again, we have to be competitive and equitable, and we have to look at where we are in the region. And the reality is, we are the lowest paying county when it comes to these salaries in the Hudson Valley. And that's something that we have to address. Now, I hear the concerns in terms of other positions throughout the county. And I also feel this is not an either or, right? I feel that this conversation is very much an and conversation, where we should also be advocating for and addressing the salaries of other folks who aren't attorneys, who aren't making six figures in the county. But the reality is, these roles are critical, right? As are many other roles, all roles, right? Every single role matters, regardless of your tier, regardless of your grade. And so, I'm going to be supporting this. I've done my due diligence and my research. I think that the reality is that there's a shift happening with the workforce, and it's something that we have to really come to terms with as well. I know that there's a retention committee that's trying to look at issues in terms of, recruitment and retention across the board. But the reality is, salary is not the only driver or the main driver, but it is a driver of recruiting talent and retaining talent. And so it's something that we have to really open ourselves up to here. So I will be supporting this.
Thank you for your comments, Legislator Ramos. Legislator Menuda.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We put together a committee. We hired a professional organization to put this together. I don't see any issues with that. The only questions that I do have is with regard to Legislator O'Donnell's item number 3 and item number 7. So are those excluded, or is this a typo, or can someone answer that?
I'll go to the author.
Now I'm on, okay. The footnote, you mean, Legislator Menuda?
Yes, thank you.
I apologize. It must have been an earlier draft, and sometimes when you delete those footnotes,
I can barely read them now, so again.
sometimes it just doesn't, you delete the footnote, but you don't delete the number up top, and that's likely what happened, is I deleted the actual footnote, but didn't delete the number up top.
So can you correlate the items here for us, item 3 and item 7?
It'll take me a moment. So I'll read number 3. Under no circumstance may an attorney earn more than the maximum amount such attorney would earn for the grade were there no separate attorney salary schedule. So I don't recall what I wrote when I wrote the original draft, but the reality is there is a separate attorney salary schedule. And what that means is they can't earn, for example, if you're an attorney practicing 40 years, you're not going to be able to get a $40,000 stipend or payment on top of your senior assistant county attorney salary, because that would be above the salary cap. So I don't know why I initially in my mind wrote the footnote and then deleted it, but that's what the effect of that is. You want me to say that again? Was I clear enough on that?
I'm clear.
Okay.
We go to 7?
Footnote 7? That was 7.
Sorry.
So
Three.
footnote 3, let's see. Now I have to find it.
I just had it and I lost it. Say it louder.
First paragraph of number 2.
Number 2, the end of the.
I see it here. The attorney titles provided for in the DA's office and county law department shall be adjusted when appropriations available to such office and department as determined by the director of the budget for incumbent attorneys. Honestly, there's no need for an explanation for that. So I may have initially had some, sometimes lawyers talk a little too much, so I might have put some more language in there, or surplus language, but there's really no need for an explanation. It speaks for itself. It speaks of incumbent attorneys.
Thank you. I appreciate your explanation. That said, I'm okay with what we've got and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Legislator O'Donnell, one more time.
So I think you just got them confused, 3 and 7 again. So I may be wrong. Maybe you heard it different than me, right? But when you spoke about 3, you quoted number 3, all right? And now when you talked about 7, you talked about the incumbent attorneys. So that's just goes to point out that that's why we have committees. This is very unusual to have someone come in and try to explain to us at our full legislative meeting where you don't have everything in front of you, all right? This just ends up why there's mistakes in this, all right? That's just on this, all right? So since 1975, I've seen numerous assistant district attorneys come and go. They sign on for 3 years, not just in this county, just about every county around the state. They get to know the judges, they get to know the courts, they get to know the defense attorneys, they get to know the law firms, and they get trial experience. Okay? Then, poof, they're gone. The overwhelming majority don't come here for money. They come here for experience, all right? That's what happens. And a couple of you are correct. Retention is the problem. That's where the money should go. The majority of them leave after 3 years because they have an obligation, an honor duty to stay because they said they would stay. They don't want to leave with a reputation of not upholding their honor. But then a few more stay to 5 years to get vested. But the quirk in the retirement system is when they leave up to 5 years, they get all their retirement contributions back. Another problem with Tier 6. We actually give people a bonus, give them their money back when they leave, right? All they have to do is ask for it. So retention, that's where the money should go. That's where the study should have concentrated on, putting the money not at the starting salary, because they're going to leave anyway. Put some money to entice them to stay. That's where the money. That's where we need this person in front of us. That's where it should not have been just this retention committee. It should have been focused and drilled down on 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What do we need to do to keep our attorneys here? All right? So out of the 34 ADAs that we currently have employed, all right, 25 of the 34 have 6 years or less. They don't stay. You can give them $40,000 more, okay? They don't stay. That's not why they're here. They're here to get experience. Another problem, this proposal will create a brain drain in the 3 years for our senior members that are not in Tier 5 or Tier 6. They're in Tier 4 or less. So at age 55, they can retire. Now we're going to give them the same 20,000 or 29% increase, 28 and change percent increase, right? That's from 70 to 90. those people that are in tier 4 or less are going to create a brain drain if they get that 28+% and put their 3-year final average salary. All right, because tier 4, I think it's 3 years. The other thing that was missed, I'm surprised it was missed, wasn't in your list of the problems with tier 6, is a 5-year final average salary for tier 6. So if you're a new kid coming out of law school, you're 25 or 26 years old, who in their right mind is going to sign up to work the next 37 years to collect a full pension? Do you think anybody is signing on that dotted line to stay for 37 years? He has it, his information was wrong, that if they left early, they might only get 26%. But if they left at age 55, the correct numbers right off the website for the state, they would get less than 50%. It's a 52 point something percentage penalty for leaving at age 55. So they're not staying unless you figure out how to retain them. I don't agree with the following. One, so I asked for Human Resources to deliver to the office everything that was part of this study. So on the cover sheet of that delivery was the threat of a violation of the Code of Ethics if we discuss any of the findings outside what was spoon-fed to us as the county legislature in this resolution. Okay? So if you took the time to go study it, or you were one of the 4 that actually had the opportunity to question sweet advice, right? You got your answers. If you didn't, I don't know if anybody showed up late this afternoon, Gene, but as of like 2 o'clock, I think I was the only one that came in the office and looked at what was provided to the office to go through what was delivered by Mr. Chapman. But the cover page was a threat of a violation of Code of Ethics. So the reasoning for that threat, as written out, was CSA negotiations. We didn't want to do anything that would hurt our negotiations with the CSCA. Not that us approving over 28% raise is going to help their negotiations. I'm not sure about that. If a 28% immediate raise is going to help them, plus $1,000 for each year you're a member of the bar. I don't know what else the CSEA needs, but if there's more that could help the CSEA than 28% right now, that's a problem. Personnel and Compensation Committee needs to bring in sweet advisor. 2, I can't talk about the numerous mistakes I found in the partial package of material I requested. I requested the whole package. I'm told by our attorney that Mr. Chapman says he sent over the whole package. If that's the whole package, then she took a lot of stuff back with her to Albany, okay? So I'm unable to talk specifics about the numerous mistakes I found in that package that I reviewed in the legislative office for fear of violating the Code of Ethics. I will make the case that it's unethical to vote on this resolution without all the facts, without the ability to hear and question sweet advisors. To me, that's unethical. It does a disservice to the constituents we serve to approve 28% plus raises without having all the material facts before us. Just take a look year and a half, 2 years ago, and what happened when the full legislature had the opportunity to be briefed and allowed to question the IDA's order. What would have happened if we didn't have that opportunity? It's unethical to vote without even reading what was sent over here. I was the only one to review it, as far as I know. As I stated, there were numerous mistakes in what I read, and one big fat lie. You all should read that package. You will most likely find more mistakes, as I did. Thank you, Chairwoman, for the extra time. I would now like to make a motion to table this resolution until such time that all of the mistakes are corrected, the big fat lie explained, and the full legislature has an opportunity to question Sweet Advice and review their entire findings. A transparent government is a goal that should be easily achieved. Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on or comments on the motion? And please make them brief. Okay? All right, so council, would you reiterate what we're voting on so everybody's clear?
My understanding that for an undetermined amount of time that Mr. O'Donnell has moved to table the vote on adopting and implementing the recommendations of Sweet Advice pursuant to agenda item, as outlined in agenda item number 31.
Could I clarify that, Chairwoman?
Yes, Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you. So it's not an undetermined amount of time. It's specifically as soon as Sweet Advice comes before us, we would
That would
act
be
on
an
it.
undetermined amount of time.
Well, we paid her a lot of money. I'm sure she'll come down. I'm sure that was part of the contract, how many times she has to
If you
come
want
down
to put
here.
a time on it, please put either 30 days or 45 days, something like that.
I'll put
Otherwise, it'll be undetermined.
60 days.
Is everyone clear? All right, would you take the roll, please? Now, this is to table this particular resolution before you.
Fagion?
No.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis?
Yes.
Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers?
Yes.
Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli?
No.
Four ayes. 14 noes.
All right, the motion fails. All right, is there anyone else that wants to speak on the resolution beforehand? And we've been on this for about a half hour, so Minority Leader Paduk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be brief on this, I agree with Mr. Ellers. We're addressing immediate raises for the top 1% in the county. The Condrey study had a lot more in it that we haven't even talked about yet we're addressing something right off the bat. We're in negotiations for CSEA, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to just hand out 29% raises. That's going to look real good. So, you know what, I don't know how you could support this without having all the information, finding out how it should go or what the best way to go is, and just vote yes, I guess, if that's how you feel about it. But I don't. I think there's a lot more that we need to address that came from the Condrey study. There's a lot more we haven't even talked about yet. So why we have to act automatically today on it, there's no reason for it. Thank you.
Majority Leader Fagion.
Madam Chair, I'd like the record to reflect that this passed PNC by a vote of 6-1, including in that vote of support was Mr. Lujan, thank you, and Minority Leader Mr. Paduk. And the Republicans were present as well. So thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Having no other comments, then we're going to call the vote on the resolution before us.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
No.
Anagnestakis? No. Benton? Yes. Brescia? Cheney? Yes. Ellers? No. Hines? Yes. Lujan? Yes. Menuda? Yes. O'Donnell? No. Ramos? Riskevich? Yes. Sassy? Yes. Stiganga? Yes. Sutherland? Yes. Tui? Yes. Benelli?
Yes.
14 ayes, 4 noes. Motion passes.
Motion passed, and we go on to number 32.
33.
Oh. 32 was withdrawn. Thank you so much.
Legislators Menuda, Fagion, Tortel, and Tui. An act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create Chief Social Welfare Examiner at the Orange County Department of Social Services pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli? 18 ayes.
Number 34, please.
Legislators Menuda, Paduk, Tortel, and Tui. An act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create Associate Account Clerk 1 and abolish 1 Typist 1 at the Orange County Department of Social Services pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli? 18 ayes.
Number 35, please.
Legislators Menuda, Brescia, Fagion, and Amo. An act amending the appropriate Orange County employment schedules to create executive assistant at the Orange County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 2.02L of the Orange County Charter.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Fagion?
Yes.
Paduk?
Yes.
Anagnestakis? Benton? Brescia? Cheney? Ellers? Hines? Lujan? Menuda? O'Donnell? Ramos? Riskevich? Sassy? Stiganga? Sutherland? Tui? Benelli? 18 ayes, Madam Chair, and the desk is clear.
Okay, was there anyone signed up for public participation after? Okay. So with that, having heard anybody, then motion to adjourn. Legislator Menuda, you had something?
I do have a question, Chairwoman. I didn't want to disrupt the flow. I don't know how to address this, but on item number 29 that we voted upon, I had recused myself from that committee meeting, and the vote was for that in full. So how do
I believe we noted it, didn't we?
No, on item 29.
Oh, 29 as well. Jean will handle it.
Thank you so much.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Thank you all very, very much.
Too hot.
Have a great evening.